Welcome to another edition of Coach's Circle. Dee Briggs from We Build Hoops Factory, also head coach of the Medford Tech girls. Today I got my fellas with me. Excuse my voice, I've been at an AAU tournament all weekend, so I'm fresh out. But I got my guy here, Davis Graham, 1,000-point scorer at Doane Academy, current assistant coach at RCBC. I have Keyshawn McMahon, 1,000-point scorer at Egg Harbor Township, Sterling College graduate and player, current assistant coach over at Lincoln University. And I have my man Antoine Miller, who is assistant coach at West Tech, founder of Camden Elite Basketball and AM University. So I got the guys here today, man. I think we would be remiss if we didn't discuss the current climate of today's society, because I think we all have access to young men and women, and to see how this impacts, the current climate impacts their development, not only on the court but off the court. Davis, I know I saw a picture from you on Instagram with your guys locked arms at an AAU tournament. What are some of the things that you're saying to your guys, and what are your guys saying to you? Because I know as young adolescents, they have a lot of questions in regards to what's going on today.
Thanks for asking, man. It's really important to me that we talk about this kind of stuff, because as a guy that leads this team and is supposed to lead a big part of the program that I'm with, it's my job to really set the tone, to have those difficult conversations with guys, especially as a Caucasian guy. Like I'm the only Caucasian guy within the program that I touch, so it's all young African-American kids. I have one Asian assistant coach, but everybody else is an African-American player. So to me, it's almost more meaningful in a way that I have a good relationship with all my guys. We had our last tournament this weekend, and we kind of addressed it throughout the weekend, and just, we locked arms before every game and made sure that, we were together and stayed together. The biggest message that I was sending to them was that we need to be the change, and it's people that, it's people that they care about, and as hard as it is to kind of address things sometimes, as young adolescents, it's something that it is of utmost importance for them to come and talk to us, especially to me. I felt like I tried to have an individual conversation with most of them and just say, hey, listen, I'm always in your corner. You ever feel like you need to talk to somebody, or you need anything, and not even in regards to just what's going on, and just in general, and just it's important for them to know that it's not just now that I'm here for them. It's always a family thing. We've been tagging out with brothers and family the whole season. We come together and put our hands in, and that's our go-to. Right. So it's been big for us to see, just how my guys feel about everything. They're hurt. Especially my college guys and my high school guys. They're a little confused. It's a hard time, and it's hard to see these things. So honestly, man, it's another thing that kind of hits home for me too. I have an LGBTQ sister, and I'm not a stranger to discrimination. Seeing it myself. So it's really special for me to be able to be in a position where I can, talk to them and be respectful and teach them about how to, really treat everyone equally, and see how we're all on the same page and all really a part of a team. And the biggest thing that I was saying to my guys was, as basketball players, the news, you look on the news and they want to put down the NBA, right away for talking about political issues and this and that, when really, if they look deep at the heart of everything, the NBA is an excellent example of how society can be. You work as a team every single day. You're accountable for every little thing that goes on the floor. Your habits and accountability really predicate your success. If you have great habits and you're accountable for all the things that are happening, in your world and within your reach, then you could be a great team. You could be a great family. It doesn't matter how much talent you have. And we've seen that time and time again in the game of basketball. So it's something that I've told them, like, hey, you can teach others that are not within sports, not seeing these things firsthand, seeing how well we can work together, seeing, what talking about things does, and just kind of learning from things like that.
Absolutely. It's a great response. So, Key, you have a unique perspective because now you're coaching at a HBCU. So I know you just moved your freshmen in and some other athletes, some upperclassmen are coming in. What's the climate like there?
To be honest, I think that most of the kids and people in power and positions at Lincoln are just jaded and frustrated, and at a point where it's almost aggravating to turn on your networks, get on your phone, or gotta have these conversations with your family, your daughters, everybody every single day. It's going to come up. It's something that we have to address, and I think that when I look into the face of all of our players, everybody is a young black man. I just think that we got to go forward in terms of strategically understanding ways of educating ourselves that at the bar you can't be an average black man inside this society in today's standard. You got to strive for the best. You got to know how to get to the top. You got to know how to do these things. And if you are put in these situations, how do you handle them? And I think that's the best thing that I can offer in terms of these guys, because every single day I'm in charge of helping inspire them, helping motivate them, helping guide them throughout these areas. And it is a topic that's affected every single last guy in our locker room. So just giving them the knowledge to move forward, to fight this fight, do it strategically, the education and know-how, the understanding of what went wrong in these situations, how to comply if they're in these situations, and how to reach out or speak to anyone you may need, or doing these things when you are feeling down or alone, or whatever the case may be in these situations, just offering that assistance and that guidance to them guys. So
Antoine, I coached with you at West Tech for a couple years. I know your role in detail as far as what you've done with all those young men there at that program. I know you still keep in contact with the guys that have gone on, and they come back and they give back to West Tech. Not only that, but you've been responsible for developing your own program from scratch with young 6th, 7th, 8th graders. What are you telling them? How do you explain it to them? Because I know it as a mentor myself, you're a person that I've looked up to. I've seen how you've mentored other kids. But right now, I be honest, I struggle because I don't know really what advice to give. So I'm interested in hearing what are some of the things that you're telling, what are some of the things that you're thinking, how are you going about it?
To be honest with you, it's a confusing time right now, and it could go a lot of ways. But just to be brutally transparent, like it makes you feel a lot of different emotions going through what we're going through right now. You get angry, sad, frustrated, every emotion in a book that you can think of, and I mean, for me though, in a weird way, we play some part in this because of our lack of knowledge on our worth and what we're capable of doing. People think all these things don't coincide, like racism and poverty and wealth. Like it all coincides with each other, right? But when it comes to the black culture that keeps getting, looking at negatively, we tend to look for help a lot, and in my opinion, it's been like that since the beginning of time, and it's never really changed. It's never really changed. So, to answer your question, again, what we're doing here, what we always been doing, this helps to younger generation because we're giving knowledge of ways to go about bettering yourself in this type of society that you never knew before. Like it could be the smallest things that our kids lack knowledge of, right? And when you got to navigate it through society, this is the reality of America. They're going to brainwash you. They're going to brainwash you into thinking that they want, because it's a capitalistic society. It is what it is. We want to take. We don't really want to teach you anything. We want to brainwash you and take. So it sounds cliche, but to me, us giving knowledge is the only answer, because I rack my brain every day about what can be done when things like this happen. I got to the point, I don't even watch the videos no more, bro. Like, I probably ain't watched George Floyd video for about 3 weeks, a month. Like, because as crazy as it sounds, as a black man, you become numb to it. And like, I can't even believe I just said that just now, but that's how it gets. And that should never be the case with these type of things that's being seen in front of our eyes in 2020. Like, right in front of our eyes, you know? So I look for answers daily. Like, I always try to rack my brain in my head about what can be done differently. But to me, it always comes down back to what we're doing, you know, pouring into these kids, you know, for the next generation, so they can have a chance. And they still might have something happen, right? But at least we gave them a fighting shot. You know, that kid, Zaire Davis, that just got stabbed the other day, you know, I was a former player, right? It hurts really bad, but, you know, at the same time, it's like, I know when I was with him, I poured in all that I could do, all I could pour into him. And I'm comfortable with that, because I gave everything during the time, right? And we still gonna lose, and the reality is we still gonna lose more kids after this conversation, after what just happened last week. Whenever that happened, we still gonna lose more, right? But we all need to do our part, cut and dry, and that's give whatever knowledge we have over our course of years, whatever we gather, we got to give it back. That's the definition of success. You know what I'm saying? It's not how much money we make. It's about the knowledge that we have and what we can give with our talents, you know, because we all got God-given talents, what we can give back to people that's less fortunate, you know. So hopefully I answer your question, but, you know, yeah, it's a weird stage right now, man. It's a weird time.
So to come back to something that you said, it was very interesting. You said we all got to do our part. And you hit the nail right on the head. So one question that I have, and I'll go around to each of you guys, because you all present a unique perspective, especially Key and Davis, because you guys are at that college level. Me and Antoine at the high school level right now. When does a coach's job stop, as far as how responsible are we for trying to get these kids to the next level? So what I mean by that is recruitment. What are players looking for from coaches as far as recruitment that involves their recruitment? Should coaches be reaching out to other college coaches? Should coaches be waiting for those college coaches to reach out to them? How involved should high school coaches be in the recruitment process for high school athletes?
I love a coach that is going to reach out to me and talk about his players, because you know, I'm kind of in that weird in between, you know. So I am in a position where I need to go reach out to coaches too, and try to get my guys placed too. So I totally understand, you know, the plight sometimes, where it's like, do I reach out too much? How much am I bugging him? Do I not reach out? You know, I think to me it comes down to how much has that player really done for you in the program, you know, and how much has the commitment been matched. You know, my thing is, I'll help a player and I'll be in a guy's corner as long as he wants me to be. So if you're gonna, you know, if you're not gonna work out and you're not gonna stay in shape and you're not gonna be ready for that opportunity, I can't vouch for you. You know, so if you got a guy that's in the gym every day, by all means, hit me up every day, right? Because he's going to be a guy that I want. You know, you got a good player. You know he's a great fit. You know he's a hard worker, you know, and an asset, really, you know, and a good representation of the program. By all means, you know, I want to see him as a college coach. I want to be a part of that. You know, I want to have that next step, especially in my school. You know, I want to be able to say, all right, well, maybe you didn't get the looks elsewhere. You know, you're hitting up all these guys, and you know, you're not getting placed, you're not getting offers, you're not getting a scholarship, whatever you're looking for. You know, that's normally where you come to a junior college, and then it's like, all right, well, I want to go get to this level. I want to go get to the D2 level. I want to get a scholarship, whatever my goal is long term. You know, I think just keeping that in mind and just giving off guys that are giving you good energy. You know, as long as I'm gaining from it, and you're being honest with me as far as, you know, what that guy brings to the table, because if he doesn't do something, I want to know about that too, you know. Then I don't think too much is too much, you know. Me personally, I felt like my coach in high school really went to bat for me constantly. And I was a guy, I felt like I was overlooked. I got a lot of D3 offers. I got no D2 offers, and I wound up playing D1 for a year. So, you know, for me, that was really rewarding for him to go out and search for these guys, because it changed my life, you know. So I wouldn't be in this position I am today without that. You know, if I just go right to playing D3 ball, I don't know if I'm doing the same thing. I don't know if I'm coaching or training still. So to me, I think it's as long as the kid is really working and he is a good kid, or he or she is a good kid, and you know, it's an asset. It's somebody you want to go to bat for. Go to bat for them by all means.
It's crazy because I've had players in the past that have played AAU for me, and their high school coaches have said to them, I'm not reaching out to this D2 or D1 school because I don't feel like you're good enough. How do we feel about that? Because if we got it, and the kid could go, you know, whether he could play at the D2, D1 level, we'll never know, because that coach didn't reach out. He decided to hang his career up. He's a 1,500-point scorer at that particular school. Probably, I think, second leading scorer in school history. Only freshman to start at that particular high school ever in the history of the high school. But you have a coach that he didn't necessarily get along with, and not for any type of you know, behavioral issues or anything like that. It just didn't mix for whatever reason. Not good enough. I'm not going to reach out to this particular school because I feel like you're not good enough. How you guys feel about that?
For me, I feel like the sport we in, the business we in, or because in reality, and when you're speaking about the college level and stuff, it is like a business. Most people look at this as their Fortune 500 company, or, you know what I mean? They set up, these college coaches are getting paid 6 figures, 5 figures, whatever the case may be. They look at it as a business, like. But even with that being said, I feel like the only way you advance in this business is by taking risks and taking those chances. Even if you question about a kid or anything like that, I think that if this kid's actions match the work, the results, the place you know, these schools or anything like that, then I think you give your kid a better chance by at least reaching out. Like you said, you never know, because that kid never got that opportunity or was ever afforded a chance to even prove himself at that level. And a lot of time, a coach's projection cannot, you know, replicate exactly what these players can do. I know for sure, like similar to what Davis was saying, when I was in high school, I was considered like a D3 prospect and stuff like that as well. And for me, I felt like I could play at a higher level than that, and I had to almost self-recruit myself to my school and to my junior college and stuff like that to give myself that chance. Not only was it affordable and stuff like that, but it was an opportunity for me to really prove that I belonged and I could earn a scholarship somewhere. Fast forward 2 years later, I did prove that I could get Division I and Division II offers, and I racked up almost 14 scholarships in 2 seasons. So I feel like you got to give your kid that chance. If their actions are, you know, truly, you know, they're working out there in the lab, they're 2 or 3 times a day, they're really going towards the results of being a college player one day, I think you got to give your kid that chance by at least reaching out, at least seeing what it could do, because it could change a kid's life. And especially in these time periods, if it's happening during this time period, it's super important. The SAT rule just got waived this season. Like, there's a lot of things that's in perspective for these kids. It could really be something that can change their lives, you know what I mean? So I think you definitely give your kid a chance by just reaching out, at least, bare minimum.
Definitely want to hear your take on this, Antoine, because I know you preach accountability, integrity, and all those core values. And I know you've been an advocate for a lot of the youth that have come through that West Tech program. And on a side note, before we get to anything else, like this guy should be a head coach, man. He should be a high school head coach somewhere, no doubt about it. He's more than qualified. He's been basically an associate head coach for the last few years. He's implemented offenses, defenses. He knows how to run a program, not only on the court, but outside, organizing off-season workouts, programs, everything like that. So if there's a head coaching job open in New Jersey, this is the guy. But on a side note, man, what do you feel like us as coaches should be doing to get these kids to the next level?
Appreciate that. It's with anything else in life, right? Like all four of us, probably what we doing, did all four of y'all knew y'all was gonna be doing this? I mean, all three of y'all, right? It's a rhetorical question, right? I was sitting with my girl in the bed when we said, yo, you gotta start an AAU program. Like we was sitting in the bed and like filled out all the paperwork that night when we decided like, yo, that's what we doing. We building an AAU program. Like straight, like something I never thought about, right? And the same, I know this is similar with y'all, right? So what I'm saying is, even if us as coaching, Briggs know me, again, I'm a realist, right? Even if I tell one of my kids that I don't believe that you should be at a Division II or the Division I, right after I say that, I say, prove me wrong. I would happily be happy if you told me, Coach, I was right, you was wrong. I would be so happy for that because this is not my life. This is what you want, right? So reversing back to the original question, if that's what they inspire to be, I don't care if it's a rocket scientist, bro. Whatever we can do within our means, we have to do it. And some of us might not have access to all the coaches in America, whatever like that. But you pushed it to the limit of what your ability was as a mentor and what you do. Because again, going back to the on the court part, it's so selfish for you to take. I take a lot out my kids. I demand a lot. Like I demand everything. I demand them running through brick walls. And it's so selfish of me in return when that off season comes to just forget about them. After they gave me everything in that game. They gave me everything. That's so selfish. And so many coaches all around just forget about their kids. And like, you got to figure it out. That's so wrong. So wrong. So we have to do everything within our power. Again, going back to the kid that just died. Like regardless of where their life goes, you should be able to sleep at night knowing you did everything that day. Period. Like with anybody that you encounter in your life, if you go to sleep and you know someone, you did something wrong today, bro, or you ain't do enough. But if you can sleep like a baby, you know you did everything. And that's all it's about. Everybody's not going to work out. They still might not go Division I, but you did your part as a coach. You know, so that really gets me there when coaches just, and it's almost all of 95% probably of the coaches in America just want to take, you know. So yeah, man, that's what he said. It don't matter. That's not our dream. That's his dream or her dream. They want to go play Division I basketball. You might not agree with it, but that's what they said they want to do. You know, what can you do because you got more knowledge? Again, it's back to knowledge. You know, you lived on this earth. Mathematically, you probably seen more things than this person. So you have some type of resources or information to steer them in the right way. Do it. You know, and after that, they got to make their own choice. You know, they got to be a man too, fall on their face or whatever, succeed. All right, so yeah, man, what we here for? I always say that. What are we here for? Just to coach basketball games and win basketball games? If that's it, bro, and make a check. Listen, man, you gotta reevaluate your life and like what you want to do when you get up in the day for. If that's what you want to do, you just want to win games, because that ain't it. That ain't it. It's way deeper than that. Like we trying to change lives around here. We trying to make people productive citizens so we don't have to have these conversations about what just happened or whatever like that. You know, so we can navigate the world better and smarter, you know, and get in these rooms with these vultures, you know, and talk like, you know, like we know what we talking about and not be naive and just keep with the same cycle. Just keep going down the same road, you know, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. So, I mean, you kind of got me thinking, you know, when like you said, the off season, that's huge for me, you know, and I was having conversations with some of my players today, and they said they want to go D1, you know, and I like what your response was, you know, prove me wrong. I mean, that's the perfect way to look at it, you know, and being able to give them the knowledge of what a Division I prospect has is, I think, one of the biggest gifts that we can give. Like, all right, I want to go play D1. I want to play D2. I want to get a scholarship, whatever the goal is. Like, all right, you got to start mapping out your work to match where you want to go, right? A Division I player does this, right? Like, a Division I player has Division I skills, right, when they get there. They might not have all the Division I skills, right? Like, when I got my look, I could shoot the ball, and I couldn't do anything else, right? So, to me, I didn't have a coach that was like, yo, you got to dribble, you got to do these things, you got to dribble 20, 30 minutes a day, you got to do ball handling, but if you don't do that, you won't be a Division I guard, like just straight up. You know, if you can't do these things, if you can't defend at least somewhat, like, because I went in as a terrible defender, so I never played, right? So, like, people didn't tell me these things. They said, all right, well, you shoot 1,000 shots a day, you do these things, right? Like, you'll have a Division I skill, but they didn't say, hey, like, this is the other work that you got to put in, right? So that was a big thing for me, but just kind of got me thinking, because I'm the same way. Like, I'll tell people, like, yo, I'll tell my guys at RCBC if they tell me something unrealistic, you know, I'll be like, hey, that might not be it, man. Like, you're 6'2". You know, maybe a 6'6" center or isn't a D1 player. You know, unless you go in and really do these things at a high level. But it's always with an unless. You know, so prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. That's the way to look at it, man.
All right. Given the fact that we're looking at ways to help the youth and give them the proper instructions on how to get to the next level, how do y'all feel about reclass?
That's a tough topic for me, I'll be honest. Only because I have seen situations where it has benefited a lot of players, a lot of kids, you know what I mean? I have seen it used for the right reasons, and then there's greedy reasons, you know? Kids want the image, the attention, the media, they want all that to get involved over that course of the reclass year. And really, a lot of times there's a lot of false dreams. So with it, sometimes kids reclass and they still end up what they could have done before that reclass year. So it's a difficult topic. I feel like the real always rises. You know what I mean? I feel like if your kid's good enough, then put them out there. You know what I mean? And that's honestly how I feel. Because what's that learning curve happening? Okay, so we say we got a senior in high school. He's going into college. That learning curve could happen over the course of his freshman year. So what? Your kid didn't make the 1 year and then automatically jump to the NBA. That learning curve could be valuable to him as a player. It could happen during that reclass year. It could happen when he's taking that jump to the next level. So I feel like I think that for the people who do it, I think just make sure you got the kid's best interest in it. I think don't do it for the selfish reasons. And I think, to be honest with you, as trendy and as valuable as it's become in the game, I don't think it should be, to be honest with you. I think as a basketball player, to me, it's slightly unnatural. And I think that those struggles, the pain, the setbacks, the stuff like that might happen when you are, are thrown out there on the first foot, I feel like that stuff's very valuable and very important to a player's development.
Antoine, what's up, man?
Wait, hold on. Tell me the positives about it.
I think the positive, sometimes if you got a kid who's maybe younger in age or younger in his grade, whose body hasn't developed, you know what I mean? Like somebody who's going to graduate at 17 years old or something like that. If that kid needs another 3 months or 4 or 5 months, getting his body better and stuff like that, I think it could be a good situation where that kid's developed his body or developed his mind, or if that reclass year is consistent of this kid changing his workout regimen where he's getting consistent, direct feedback on his game. You know what I mean? He's working with some connections or resources that he hasn't he hadn't had at that high school level, wherever the case may be, before the reclass year. Then I think it could be potentially good for him. But this kid had all the resources, had all, had all the opportunities to pursue these things, and still was just choosing a reclass year because the colleges didn't come knocking on the door, whatever the case may be. Then I think you're doing it for the wrong reasons.
So let's be clear, not prep year, reclass. So I'm more focused on those kids that's coming through 10th grade and under, getting set back to the grade before.
Okay.
So not the prep year.
Okay.
Just the reclass year.
Oh, so I might have had that a little mixed up on my answer.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah, I
You was
mean,
basically talking about prep.
yeah, I was thinking, you in your senior year of high school, because that's where I think it's most commonly done. You know what I mean? People staking out for some schools
and I think
stuff
that's kind
like
of
that.
where it coincides at, because you have that last year. I think you said it best when you said it's unnatural. Don't get me wrong. There's times where it can be successful. You got to be strategic with it. Don't just reclass your kid and they going through the regular AAU, middle school, high school ball practices, the motions of it. There has to be like some type of actual regiment and physical plan in order to get their body to a certain extent, get their game, their skill. They should be doing certain things. There should be target goals with it. It got to be really mapped out. And when it's really mapped out, I've seen it be successful, but those things are too far and few between. Most times, like you said, it's become trendy. Whereas, a kid is reclassing just because I heard Johnny over there did it. But you don't know what Johnny had planned. So I think it's important that there's a regiment behind it. Because like you said, I don't know when it became cool to play down and dominate your grade. I know when I was coming up, I'm a little older, and Antoine could probably attest to this too. Like, you always played up. Like, you played up. That was your thing, right? If you couldn't handle playing up, you at least go back down to your grade, but you never went down. You know what I mean? You never went down. So, yeah, I don't know when that became trendy, but like I said, it can be, when strategic, it can be an effective plan, and a very effective plan. But, it has to be everybody behind it. The parents got to be behind it. The trainer has to be behind it. The coach. Everybody has to be involved in that plan. When it's just the parents saying, oh, kid ain't big enough, or he's not young enough, so I'm going to keep him back a year. Well, what else? That's not enough. You know what I mean? That's just not enough. So I definitely want to hear Antoine's take on this.
What they reclassifying for again?
They young for their grade, or they not big enough. They ain't got enough.
Listen here, man. Prep is a tad bit different. Reclassifying. Look, listen, man. If you're good enough, you're good enough. Again, basketball is different. Like, from every other sport, it is different. Most times you are not going to see a kid that really gets that much better over the course of this off season. That's not going to happen. Where, like, I had a kid in Pensacola, Al Fisher, that coaches there now. His body transformed in a year, and he was just dunking all over the place. Or Jason Thompson, that used to play for the Kings. That's a better example. That went to Lenape. He was 6'3" his junior year, and he was 6'11" his senior year. Like, that's not normal, right? Basketball is really hard to do. It's really hard to be great at basketball individually. Not as a team, not in a team manner, not fundamentally. It's really hard to be good at basketball alone, like, to get really good at it. So what I'm saying is, if you're good enough and you show potential, then you're good enough. If it ain't there, it's probably not going to be there. So you reclassifying is just prolonging the inevitable. That's how I look at it. You probably got less than 1% that a reclass is going to help. Prep, you tear your ACL your senior year, or you just a twig as far as your stature, and you need to get your weight up. Like, but that's it for prep. That's it. Other than that, I don't. It's a trend, like you said. It's a trend, and whoever these powers that be is really telling these kids, 'cause, again, for their own selfish interest, that reclassifying yourself would be the best bet, you know. But they just want to win games. Again, it's not helping, you know. I mean, Briggs know the kid that was supposed to come to West Tech last year that wants to reclassify because they said he lost a year not getting in the game at another school. Like, so he's a sophomore again, a 6'6" sophomore again. Like, and it was just like, he's on a very good AAU team in Philadelphia. Like, and he has 2 years of high school basketball left. Between those two conglomerates, if you're a Division I basketball player, someone's going to recruit you. They're not recruiting you because you're not a Division I basketball player. You don't have that skill set, you know. But these people are so ill-informed, you know. So I just go back to, and you know what? It's not the kids' fault. It's the parents' fault. Again, their lack of knowledge, you know, and not understanding the dynamics of this whole world, right? You're just listening to this guy that come up to you and give you this whole story, and you're just going with it. Now you're doing a disservice to your kids, and you don't even know that. You really setting them up for failure in the long run, you know, because now they got this whole, you know, ordeal that is going to go this way, and most chances it's not. Most times it's not, you know. So I've never had to deal with that personally. I've been seeing it from all of y'all around me recently, like y'all all had to deal with it, with the reclass thing. But if that ever happened with a kid of mine, it's like, I hate it, man. I just hate it. I just hate it. You're just wasting a whole year of your life. That's how I look at it, you know. Instead of, it is what it is, right? It is what it is. Everybody's not going to be this person, you know. Leave it all out there, you know, work as hard as you can and just let it be. Like what it is. Most of the world isn't meant to play basketball, especially at the NBA level. How many NBA players is it now? 300, 400? In the world? How many people is it in the world? Like Division I.
3% chance.
Like Division III. I don't even talk about Division I in the NBA. I go to the NJAC. Can you play in the NJAC today in New Jersey? They will destroy you, yo.
NJAC tough, man. What you got on reclass, Davis?
Well, just a hit, man. I played in the NJAC. They had 3 top 25 teams in the country my year, right? Like, that's tough. You're right. To me, I think, I'll be honest, I think reclass is kind of BS. You know, I think reclassing early is kind of BS. It just doesn't make any sense. Like Antoine said, like, it's, like, for what? Like, why are you, what are you there for, like, for the year? Like, honestly, because why wouldn't you just play your high school season, play your high school years out, right? If you're young, to your point, if you're young, you're a twig, you just got hurt, by all means, go prep. You know, go prep if you need the looks. But if not, go JUCO, go redshirt somewhere, right? Like there's other options out there. But if you go reclass and you're already not at that level and you want to stay in the same spot and reclass or even transfer to a new spot and reclass, there's no guarantee that that new spot is going to have new opportunity or better training or better coaches or things like that. To me, like, if you haven't gotten it that year, what makes you think, if you stay at the same school, what makes you think things are going to be different, right? Like, what makes you think, like, for example, let's say you're a sophomore rising to a junior. You know, you got a senior that's graduating. You're like, all right, well, you know, I'm thinking about, like, there's no reason to reclass. You got opportunity. If you just made the JV team, you know, and that's it, you're like, no, I need another year to kind of get right, you know, like again, like, just go play JV again. Like, honestly, because if you go play JV, get better, you're really committed to getting better, realistically, you're going to be a varsity player. You're going to be on the varsity bench at least, or, you know, have a goal to be a varsity player by your senior year. I mean, honestly, by your senior year, if you're not there, go play JUCO. Key's a good example of it, right? I got guys that are JUCO players that shouldn't be JUCO players. 4-year schools should come steal them from me, honestly, because they work. They out here working. They just missed their opportunity. They were late risers. I got a kid, I can't talk enough about him, Jeremy Young, a.k.a. Worm from Burlington City. That's my guy. Like, but, I mean, coming out. Yeah. Yeah, man, great kid. Like, athletic, could play D. Wasn't super refined coming out, but the last 2-3 years, played 1 year with us at RCBC and had some issues, so he had to redshirt this last season. But that kid works. So him now, from him as a senior in high school, 2 different players. He, like, 4-year school should come steal that kid. But that's a good example of a kid that's like, I'm not reclassing, I'm not making excuses, I'm not going to prep, I went JUCO, I made the most of my opportunity. If you make the most of your opportunity, more opportunity comes, right? If you're ready for the opportunity and then it shows up, you're gonna get the look. He has no looks right now. I guarantee you he has a look by the end of the year, if not 10, because he's putting the work in. But if you're not putting the work in and you wanna reclass because you wanna reclass, that's crazy to me, To me, I think a redshirt year is way more beneficial than anything else. You could go redshirt at a JUCO and go get more out of that than reclassing. But kids now, maybe it's social media. Maybe it's you don't want to put the unseen hours in. You want to be playing games. And I understand that. You want to go play games, that's great. But do you want to be better? Do you want to play well in those games? Right? Like, that is something you got to think of. Like, are you looking at this from a long-term perspective? Or are you looking at this from the next 3 months or the next season? Or, I think that's a big thing that you got to talk about with a player and really talk through. Like, Worm made the conscious decision not to play this season because he had issues that he had to take care of. And he had the redshirt year to do it, and that was a blessing for him. So, to me, I think early if you're taking a reclass, it don't make any sense, because you can always use that later. But let's say you come out of high school a little bit old because you reclassed, or you're almost 19 or you're 18 and a half or whatever the case is. Now you're old for school too, right? So like we look at a kid or a school looks at a kid and they're like, well,
19-year-old guy with the same skill set as opposed to the 19-year-old dude.
Exactly. So especially because if I have a 17-year-old kid and then he reclasses and now he's 18, way different. But if I got a 17-year-old kid and then he comes in and he redshirts and he was already good enough to make the team as a 17-year-old kid, different, right? Even if you're 18, like, are you too old at 23 to be a senior in college? Like, no. I mean, like, straight up, no. And then the last thing, to me is, if you like, especially if you're doing it in college, is I preach to my guys, redshirt if you can and if it's a necessity for you. Because why not? If you're committed to the process, you'll like a redshirt year. You get done in 4, you got 3 years of school done. Now you got a free, I can transfer wherever I want card, right? So you want to stay at your school, right? You want to transfer somebody else or transfer somewhere else. But either way, you're working on that master's degree too. So if you're really a ball player, now you're working on a second degree, partially paid for or fully paid for. That's really using your head long term. That's planning stuff out. That's like knowing where you're going with things. Having a fallback if basketball doesn't work out, or if you want to be in basketball, figuring out something that major is good for. But that is just, to me, I think, like, reclassing doesn't make any sense. You got to be, like you said, if you're a hooper, you're a hooper. Coaches find you, right? Like, y'all know what a hooper looks like when you walk in the gym. We didn't really, I thought it was cool because, we didn't really know each other that well, and I just felt like we were like, all right, well, he knows what he's talking about, It's like, it's one of those things. So it's tough, man. It's tough to say, the year's not going to help you, but the year probably, in most cases, doesn't really help you all that much.
Absolutely. And that's what's dope about this platform here, man. This is what I wanted to be about. Whether it's getting guys opportunities to play somewhere else at the next level, whether it's getting a coach that's well-deserved, a head coaching job somewhere. It's really about building a platform, man, so guys can have an opportunity to get other places, as well as take this information, man. Like, this is valuable information that we all share. We all made these same mistakes, so you guys didn't have to make them, all right? So, take this information. Like, that was a great word that you just gave as far as the plan and mapping it out and how sophisticated it can be if you look at it in a certain way. So, I mean, again, take this information, young players, and, you know, the sky can be the limit if you don't make the same mistakes that we made. So, again, I appreciate you guys for coming through. The next show is going to be fantastic because we're going to get into who's the best player in South Jersey. We're not talking about DJ. We know DJ the best player. Outside of DJ, who's the best player in South Jersey? And I want to know who's been running the best basketball program. It could be male or female. Who's been running the best basketball program over the last 4 or 5 years or so? All right. So y'all think about that, and we'll catch up next time on the Coach's Circle.